because everybody went Stargate for so long that Protosses sometimes mix it up. It's a little bit of a counter mind game. Most players will still go for the Stargate. Are you crazy? Neeb. Is he going 3 bases before attack? You can't just do that, right? This is the scout for a really early Zergling drop, which can still happen. Oh, whoa! Neeb completes the shade, but the Zerglings get the surround. Definitely a mistake there. Looks like he was trying to bait the Zerglings away and cancel, but losing 2 Adepts early, there's no other way to explain it. That is really bad. Losing 2 Adepts when you're going for 3 Nexi, that's worse. Losing 2 Adepts when you didn't build a shield battery, you were using Chronos on probes, and now you only have 2 units. That's definitely not great either. But luckily here for Neeb, Rogue, and this is the map coming into play a little bit. Rogue will still really have to commit if he wants to go through here, and he just can't. There is a robotics right here. Robotics before additional gates. It looks like Rogue just going to say, all right, I got some early map control. I'm not going to need to make any more Zerglings. Drones. A layer on the way. Will we see a 3rd hatch? Probably once he finishes using these injects. But how much vision did the Overlord see? Did the Overlord get, rather? I mean, there's a chance. There are Spore Crawlers on the way. He didn't scout the entire base. There's a chance that Neeb was going for the Stargate. Rogue actually kind of skipping getting spores on some of the bases. I guess he's pretty convinced it's going to be a quick 3 hatch. Or just the fact he has an additional queen would protect him against oracles. Three zealots on the way here. Looks like he wants to be able to get a Templar Archives immediately. And what else are we looking at? Neeb pushing out. This is next to no units here. Oh, I'm not a smart man, by the way. The reason Rogue didn't commit to that much additional anti-air, besides like 1 spore in the main, he scouted the robo. He saw that Neeb was building a robo in his wall. I just wanted to point that out as an update to my previous, what we can arguably call analysis, that Rogue just simply saw he had a robo. And if you go for a robo that early, then you don't have a Stargate, more than likely. So Templar Archives on the way. Interesting that Rogue hasn't gone for a 4th yet. He's actually built more units than you might expect. It looks like Neeb's kind of fake pressure has actually done a number here on Rogue. It baited him into making a lot of roaches that aren't going to be useful in an attack, and kept his drone count down. So there's a Spire behind this, especially now that he's scouted. It's not going to be a Stargate. There's probably not going to be Blink. So the Spire could be a useful tool, but Neeb, with that little move out there, and he could always recall if he ever got caught out, with that little move out, baited Rogue into making units that aren't really very useful for him at the moment. Now, of course, an Archon drop having roaches against is important, but he didn't really realize he didn't need those roaches so early. And well, now the question is, will Neeb figure out this is going to be mutas? Does he send out a hallucinated Phoenix? He doesn't really have the energy. He did a moment ago. Yeah, he scouted with one a moment ago, but he didn't see the Spire. That's a lot of roaches for him to be making. Storm is on the way. Rogue has enough gas for 9 mutas. The minerals are a little bit more lacking, but the pickup's coming through. A lot of damage on that War Prism. 11 mutas should be able to hunt it down if it sticks around for too long. But what happens now? The War Prism gets recalled out. 11 mutas are going to come out. Neeb still has an incredible ground army. He has 80 probes. He can afford some probe losses, but it seems like he has no idea this Spire is coming. He didn't see it. But at this level, it's not about whether you have direct vision. It's about whether there are enough tells, right? Like, that players are going for certain tech. And right now, Rogue has successfully hidden the Spire. He's only shown roaches, but Neeb didn't know there weren't Hydras or anything behind. There are no cannons in the main. There's no Blink Stalkers. I feel like Neeb kind of has to just go. Getting run around, that'll give Rogue more and more time here. The mutas are already in the main. There's one cannon, okay. There's one cannon, the safety cannon he's built in his mineral patches here, which is partially for drops, not necessarily just for mutas. But is that one cannon going to be enough to keep Neeb at home and not take a huge disadvantage when it comes to map position? So right now, Rogue, he's continuing to build mutas. He's saying, okay, you don't really have a direct counter, you don't have blink. Cannons are good, but are they good enough to stop 20-plus mutas? And that's what he's going for. On the other side, he's going for a lot of front-loaded damage. The Banelings, they crash into the army, they die in the process. But if he's able to take out enough units in the first wave of Banes, then the mutas can come in and clean up. But the mistake a lot of lower-level players will make with the Mutalist is thinking that mutas can fight any number of Archons.
Good.
This might just be a rumor, but Archons do, I believe, 1,000 damage to mutas. That might not be exactly correct, but each Archon shot does about 1,000 damage to mutas. So if you don't engage it perfectly, you can find yourself losing all of your mutas very, very, very quickly. Now, while all of this is happening, Neeb has decided, all right, I'm just going to sit back. I'm going to defend. I'm going to build up the Death Ball. I'm not going to be baited into all-inning before I'm ready. I'm not going to just let these mutas kill my economy. I have plenty of probes. I have the Storm. The Storm's killing the probes. So I guess that's a double win there for Rogue as he dodges out of it. And there's no greater tech on the way. There's no Hive done. The Infestation Pit just finished. It's just Roach Bane. Neeb has kept his cool. He's got Blink on the way. He's kept his probe count up. And he's approaching 200 supply. That's still a lot of Archons. This is still not an army that Roach Bane does that much damage against. It's going to come down to the Storms. We got 5 High Templar. In come the Banes at the front. Neeb on a move command. But still, Immortals and Archons eat a lot of damage. The Roaches coming up to the front. The Immortals living up to their name. A few more Storms at the front side. But the anti-air is starting to be lacking. He was dealing with the mutas to the south. Looks away for a split second, and Rogue slams him across the face. But still, the Banelings not really getting into the heart of the Protoss army. But that was definitely a key mistake, losing a large chunk of his Archons and several of his Immortals because of that mistake. And Rogue still at 200 supply. Is this a wall for Stalkers? He does have Blink, of course. Teleportation is a good skill to have. There's still a lot of Templar underneath, but Lynx and Banes are coming in. He sees the army coming. We should see some big Storms. They do connect. Neeb blocking on all sides. He's retreated back towards his shield batteries. Rogue coming in for another swing. Round 3 begins in just a moment. The mutas once again going for this base. The Stalkers are stuck in the main. The Roaches and Ravagers on either side. He can't be losing the Templar. He's got to make sure to get the Storms off and to stagger them, because if all of his Templar are gone, the next wave of Banelings comes in before Storm can. Neeb loses the southern base. Neeb loses the wall. Neeb loses the position on the left side. The Ravagers taking off several of the Immortals. Stalkers blinking forward. It looks like Neeb has decided it's time to go. He's got a couple Storms in the back. The Banelings will melt. The muta's still finding an opportunity. 191 to 145 supply. But the army supply not that different, and Storm is still a pretty incredible ability. There's enough Stalkers in the main to zone out these mutas. They do have +1 attack. Adrenal Glands are on the way, and those Cracklings are going to be able to rip through so much on the ground as long as there are no Archons in Storm. +2 melee attack for the Lings and Banes is done. Rogue comes in again. The Templar at the front. They're vulnerable here. Will the Banes connect? One does. The shields are gone. He needs another wave of Storms. Neeb holds the line. The supplies have evened up. The Stalkers kill the mutas. Neeb holds again. The Archons in the back. He actually gets a couple morphs off. The Baneling counts are thinning out. The Banelings come in from the right. Trying to get on top of the probes. Neeb holds. 130 supply. The Stalkers win the fight. They've taken out the mutas. Neeb holds. Rogue went for the kill. He went deep. He barely missed the heart of Neeb's base. But with the Archons and Stalkers going forward, what is there to respond? Zerglings on the other side. Neeb is going back. This has been the theme of this game. But Neeb goes back. But nevertheless, Neeb persisted. And now suddenly 130 to 158 supply. A lot of that supply is in Stalkers, which really aren't that great against the Ling main. They are expensive units. They have some mobility, but it isn't maybe the best unit he's looking for here. Yeah, but he'll take it over nothing. Oh, the Zergling slipped by. Now, this isn't doing real damage, but Rogue needs time. He's got all the bases to the north. He's got 86 drones. The Stalkers block again. A storm, but the Lings slip through. They are cracklings here, Adrenalings, with extra attack speed and plenty of upgrades. The storm's hitting everything. Rogue has switched into the Ultralisks. But Neeb has not a terrible Ultralisk killing army. 3 Immortals, 5 Archons, 16 Stalkers, and plus 3 attack. Neeb doesn't have charge. Oh no, and the Templar! And he gets the morphs off, but they're ripping through the shields. He tries to warp in. There's no charge. He loses 2 Archons. Neeb losing some key units. The Ling's in the main, but Neeb still has 74 probes, despite losing 36 this match. I can't believe Neeb forgot charge for this long, but he hasn't really been making that many Zealots. Zealots aren't great against the Roach, Lingbane, Muta. They're not great against Ultras either, but I don't think he knows the Ultras are on the way. Neeb still manages to have 7-8 Templar on the field. But Daddy's home. 5 Ultralists with chitinous plating. Plenty of Banelings. Now, Neeb has the right army to deal with this. He has to win a couple fights, though. Rogue's gonna fight. He might lose once, but the idea is he rebuilds and fights again. Oh my god. The better part, I think all of 19 Zealots are on the way, but that means they're not at the front to tank damage. The Stalker's forced to blink back. The Immortal's holding the line. The Storm's connecting on a lot of the Banelings, but they're getting very dangerously close to the Templar. He gets the morphs off, blocking the Ultras. The Immortal's blasting through the front. The Zealots into the main part, the heart of the swarm. The Warpins coming up, the Stalkers snipe off another Ultra. The Archons come into existence after morphing from those Templar. Rogue down to 131 supply, and this, he's not building a cost-effective army. Neeb has a bigger army bearing down. The one thing he doesn't have anymore is Storm. If there's another round of Lings and Banes coming in, it could get quite dicey. He's got 7 Templar, but they just finished building. From the base, he's been able to hold on to the south. But Rogue needs time. While he has a massive economy, he keeps spending it all on units, and those units aren't finishing the job. But nevertheless, Neeb persisted. A Nexus being targeted, pulling Neeb's army back again. Vipers on the way, but Neeb has built the Death Ball. There's nothing here. Broodlords maybe would be the answer, but with that many Stalkers, Vipers could help. Some Infestors, if he could get them out, he has plenty of gas, but Neeb... Neeb doesn't, like... It seems to be a recurring theme. No matter what, no matter how small the attack, Neeb will not commit until he is defended. So right now, Neeb at 200 supply, he literally can't warp in any more units. How many Templar? 7 Templar in this army. Another round of Zerglings comes in. Shades of Artosis as that pylon goes down. All these will be depowered upon warp in, but I think at this point, with nothing to warp in at home, will Neeb recall any of his units? Or will he set up for the fight? Here comes Rogue. One last gasp. Storms on the southern flank. The Archons hold the line at the front. A few fall, but not nearly enough. Neeb is outflanking Ultralisks and Banelings. He's held for so long.
Good.
And now he finally returns the favor. The Immortals at the front, targeting down Ultralisks. A few getting caught on the wrong side of things into Banelings, and Rogue loses those Banes. Storms as well. The Templar protected throughout this engagement. Another Immortal says, this is right where I want to be. The Stalker's blinking. Rogue taps out, and Neeb wins game number 1. In a he looked like the Mutas would break him. The Roachling Bane would break him. Zerglings would break him. But Neeb never broke. He said, all right, you got Mutas, I got no counter. Let's take some time and think about it. You got Roaches and Banes? Let's go. And then finally, when he knew he had the overwhelming advantage, he goes and he takes his victory. But, I mean, that is a little map dependent there, right? That map is very difficult for Zerg to attack in, even if they do have a big advantage. So, Neeb playing it well. But we're going into game 2. There's still up to 6 maps to play in the Hangzhou Starcraft Festival 2018, held in Hangzhou or Hangzhou, China. I don't know how to say it correctly, but it's game 2. Neeb up 1-0, but bottom left. I don't know if you're disheartened a little bit as Rogue. Like, you know that was Neeb's bread and butter. That is what he wants to do every game. He wants to hold, he wants to defend, he wants to have 70, 80 probes. He wants to build the right army, control it well, and take his win. So everything Rogue did gave him the opportunity to do that. It still was very close to breaking him. But everything Rogue did kind of played into that mindset. On a map like Catalyst, with a much more open third base, much more potential for attack. Even the second base, much more open for attack. Does it look any different? Does Rogue have a different strategy he wants to break out, or does he play a similar style? But we'll see. In the top left, once again, it's Neeb, the best player from America. I think there's no question about that right now. And not even scouting. I'm taking a few notes myself, obviously. That's the idea, but scouting only after the cyber core here. So kind of a greedy build. I mean, thank you.
When did my Rocket League stream turn into a StarCraft stream? Kappa.
Too much passion, unfortunately. If Rogue had gone for a very early pull, Neeb could be punished. But he wants a few extra minerals from delaying his scout, but he'll be happy to see that Rogue going for a hatch first. He's starting a queen. If you're Neeb, you can actually pay attention. You see the queen building when the hatchery is having a seizure. It means he knows a pull's done, and that this isn't some really greedy play. Rogue just playing middle of the road. And Rogue is not a player to be intimidated. Alright, Rogue's story has been one of playing better players, or players that everyone thought were better players. But then he gets into BlizzCon. He went into I talked about it a little bit in the first game, but Rogue's story. He went into the last tournament for WCS points of the year that he could be a part of, the GSL Super Tournament, with the best players from GSL. And he not only had to do well, he had to win in order to get to BlizzCon. He had to win it. And he did. And then he went to BlizzCon. And up against players who did much more throughout the year. And he wins. So he's one of those players that just always seems to have a knack for coming in clutch. Now, nice timing here. Slipping in past the first adept. Neeb committed both across the map. We're back to a more standard Stargate build. Opening up with the Phoenix, which has become a lot like, and once again, Neeb getting his first two, in that last match, his first two adepts. Getting caught. This one will make it. With 4 HP to spare. Looks like the Zerglings are on the hunt. The Lings have picked up 1 kill. Neeb picked up 3. So actually in that last little engage, he picked up 3 with the Adepts. So definitely not as bad as before. A hard wall out of Neeb, because he had to commit an Adept to the front. Or to the back of his base when the Zerglings slip through. Will Rogue continue on this road? The Oracle comes up. Will he actually turn on the Pulsar Beam? Warp Gate is finished. So Neeb getting caught a little bit off guard here. But he does complete the wall. Another Adept will be finishing. And Rogue, not only does he get in with the Zerglings, they get the full scout. Which means he's scouted what was coming out of the Stargate. When it was coming out. He's crafted his response with 100% information here. And a pretty comfortable position because he got those Zerglings in. It's going to be +1 melee. So if Neeb goes out for a third base too early, if the Zerglings are able to get a good angle on the base or on the Adepts, he could just win straight off of that. Oh, Neeb didn't see the Evolution Chamber. This is also important info. If he sees the Evo Chamber, does he commit so much to taking this base that early? But the Phoenix didn't quite get in far enough to see the Evolution Chamber before lair play. And now Neeb is actually going across the map. I mean, that's a lot of Adepts. He continued warping, and he's got 9 Adepts, 8 of which are coming across the map. 2 Oracles as well. +1 is not done. Only a dozen Zerglings, give or take, on the map. But in order to get all these Adepts out and put on this pressure, Neeb has cut tech. He's just now building a Robo. He wasn't building anything else out of the Stargate. He needs to get a little bit of damage done and keep pressure on Rogue here. He actually shades in, but the Oracles are there as well to support. +1 melee not done yet. Neeb started killing workers. He's baited out a lot of Zerglings. The Oracle's trying to get away here. He can pick up maybe one of the Queen Shades out. He's trying to buy space for his third base and get economic damage done at the same time. The Oracle's trying to get some more damage. Looks like he gets out with almost everything. I take it back. He gets out with everything. But now Rogue has 36 Zerglings. There are only 4 Adepts on the map. +1 melee has completed. Neeb has used a lot of his energy on those Oracles. And Neeb just now maybe noticing a good force field there, minimizing surface area, getting some of these probes. The Oracles are turned on. Every time he turns on, he switches on that Pulsar Beam. It costs him a lot of energy. So we can't just be turning it on and off. Pretty much the Oracle is what your mom told you would happen if you kept turning on and off the lights. Stop it, you're gonna break the bulb. Maybe not true for those lights, but true for the Oracle, because that Pulsar Beam takes 25 energy each time. On the other side, Rogue realizing maybe he could commit. He could commit to an attack there. He might have enough Zerglings, but he has map. The one thing he knows he has is map control. As Neeb, he invested heavily in going for that Adept pressure. And since Rogue has enough Zerglings to keep Neeb at home, he can get a 4th, he can get more drones, he can get more tech. And we've got +2 melee, which is enough for Banelings to one-shot probes, by the way, so it's a big upgrade. Baneling speed and Hydralisk Den, which Neeb should be scouting. He sees...
The enemy has discovered us.
He sees the Baneling nest, so Neeb knows what he's dealing with, and he's going for the same thing last game that was so incredibly helpful. The Psystorm upgrade. More gates have been added on. Neeb at a pretty comfortable economy. So is Rogue. So who's going to be the aggressor first, really, here? Rogue poking in. He should be able to cancel this. It'll cost him a handful of Zerglings. He tries to draw to... Oh. Some of those Zerglings won't be making it home. Finds an Archon. That's a big win there. He didn't get the cancel on the Nexus. But finding an Archon with 2 Templar that definitely wanted to save energy for Storm, I'd say that's worth like a couple dozen Lings. So Neeb now has 6 High Templar, a lot of which will have access to Storm. But Rogue has 81 drones. He's spiraled upwards in economy. Rogue is not... Now, important points. Rogue is not adding on a Lurker Den. He's not adding on an Infestation Pit. He is only adding on Zerglings, Banelings, Hydralisks. He wants to fight with this army. 13 creep tumors at a time coming out. So he's got plenty of creep spread, which is somewhat rare in Zerg versus Protoss. But he's going to be hammering on Neeb with wave after wave after wave of Hydraling Bane. We've got Dropper Lords coming in. The threat to the probes is immense. On the other side, Neeb teching up to the next step. The Fleet Beacon for a mothership. Pushing forward. This is a bit of an exploratory push. I don't think Neeb actually looking to get anything dramatic done here. +2 melee against just +1 attack Zealots. Yeah, Zealots are pretty good. Neeb has Zealots on the left and Zealots on the right, but Rogue has a lot of mobility with this Lingbane. There's a tag even on a Dropper Lord, so now he's got a bit of an idea of what Rogue wants to do. Neeb breaking through the rocks, giving himself some more options for mobility. He doesn't want to be engaging that Hydraling Bane into a concave. He needs to minimize the amount of storms to deal with those Banelings. Speaking of Banelings, the Zealots on the left, not really paying attention. The +2 Banes rip through them. Where are those Dropper Lords? Did he send them out? It doesn't look like it. Trying to find him. There's one at the front. If he gets the Templar, that's it. Lights out.
Yes. Just as I deserve.
Enjoy
Zealots
the
on the left side. Storms at the front. The Banelings trying to split through. Neeb has approaching 200 supply. These Zealots won't make it. But he's doing whatever he can. If he can find an engagement where the Storm just wipes through the Banelings, that's a win. The one thing is no Warp Prism, as Neeb, instead of going for that more Battle Protoss style, he's just teching up to carriers. He's taking the high ground, quite literally. The Banelings are rolling in. Probes are very vulnerable to these. He's got to be very careful. He can't warp in. I don't know if he doesn't have any warp-ins, but Banelings on the right side as well. The probes are still on the run. The one Adept at the wall working on the other side of things. He never thought he'd be locking the Banelings out. But the probes are at the third! And there's still a Baneling in there as well! He's killed so many! It's a disaster! Rogue killing 63 probes throughout this game. Neeb has 19 probes left. He just knocked out 75% of his economy in one hit. He corralled all the probes to the third. And then he rolled in and knocked him out of it. And you can't afford carriers on 19 probes. He doesn't even have the... Okay, he does have Graviton Catapult. He can't rebuild He has to go all in with carriers, which, in this scenario, there are plenty of Banelings. That economy, he just got his legs swept out from under him and stabbed him in the back at the same time. The Storms are hitting the Interceptors as well. They're just... He's breaking through the front. But at some point, he will run out of Storm. And the next wave of... Oh, I mean, those are still carriers and Immortals, but the Templar are gone. He's out of Storm. More Hydras on the way. More Zerglings. It's only 3 carriers, and a lot of the Interceptors have been exhausted. Now just imagine, if only half those probes had fallen, how scary this army for Neeb is. But Rogue, just eviscerating his economy. GG. Rogue takes it. With those Rogue Banes. Oh. Well. That was, And we're tied up at 1-1. Banelings +2 Banes are quite a threat. I didn't realize how much of a threat they would be. But it seems Rogue did. It's the right music for that, right? Alright. What is that one? I want to see what that one. I'm gonna use. I just pressed a button. I don't know what it was, but we're gonna find out because I'm gonna press it later in the game and see what it does. I'm sure that'll be exciting. I got Rogue in the top right, Neeb in the bottom left. You figured that out by now. Where you going, Neeb? Neeb deliberately... Are you cannon rushing? He's deliberately avoiding any overlords. Is that... Oh, Neeb. Will Rogue see it? Oh, he sees the probe. He sees the probe dodging. And Neeb knows he saw it. Oh my god, he's building the pylon. Well, here we go, boys. So, what is the response? How does Rogue handle this? He's almost... The drone actually got in the wall-off spot. Neeb just needed a few more seconds, but... Well, it looks like it has been summarily handled. As Neeb was trying to find that cheeky position, Rogue had his Overlord just barely in time. And, well... By the way... I'm getting information now. I'm getting information now that I am not a smart man. One, this is the semifinals, and two, this is a best of 5. But it is the semifinals of Hangzhou Starcraft. Whatever. Close enough. Still, it could be a finals in almost any tournament. So, both players 2 matches away from victory. Potentially. So how does Neeb... I mean, recover, I think, is the right word. If you go for a Forge first, a Forge doesn't have... Forge Fast Expand was a staple of Brood War, Protoss versus Zerg for a lot of the early StarCraft 2. But in Legacy of the Void, there are so many options that static defense ain't what it used to be. There's relatively early drops, even though they do require a lair. They're still pretty cheap. Nidus Network. Ravagers with Corrosive Bile. There are so many things that make a cannon expand just not ideal. So, whenever you see a Forge this early, it almost certainly is for aggression. But it looks like Neeb just looking to go into a more, he's trying to do his normal opener after failing a cannon rush. So, I mean, if Rogue just lets him, sure, that's fine. But Rogue, he's going to have Zergling speed. For example, last game, 2 Adepts were in the mineral line, killing drones before Zergling speed finished. This game, oh, you murderer. Robot lives matter. This game, Neeb can't even shade out his first Adept before Zergling speed finished. Like, that's just the difference in timing. He has no map control. He's still gonna shade out, but I don't know if Neeb's just kind of hoping that Rogue gets extra greedy, but he's just simply in a good position against this. He's gonna try to target down 1 Adept. Technically, these 2 Adepts can beat all these Zerglings. They can beat 4 apiece, and together maybe a little more.
Now I have your attention.
8 months already. 4 more months left for a year, Bob Champ.
The Zerglings will deal with the Adepts. I like this. Neeb gonna follow up with a Twilight Council before trying for a 3rd. So he's not gonna try to play just a straight up macro game. He knows he doesn't really have much control now. He's gonna try to find a timing that will... Oh god, Neeb. I'm a little biased as an American player myself. It's just Rogue is so much in the driver's seat right now. Did he see the Twilight? Oh god, he even saw the Twilight. I mean, it could look like an Archon drop. The thing is, the same counter to an Archon drop, which is Roaches, is the counter to Glaive to Depths, which is also Roaches. So the Twilight Council most of the time means you can go Roaches and be safe against most things. And at this point, with this many Adepts shading across, I think Rogue has realized it is just going to be Glaive to Depths. We're not looking at an Archon drop. So he just needs to build up the Roach count, and even with the +1, even with Glaives, they don't do that much damage to Adepts. Or Adepts don't do that much damage to Roaches very quickly. It's just how it is. Rogue is all-inning. He's at 42 drones. Neeb, the greedy bastard, has gone up to 54. But with the information he had, it looks like Rogue has chosen correctly here. It's 55 to 31 army supply. The Corrosive Bile's coming out. A couple force fields could help, but the Queen's coming up to support as well. He's brought most of them off the line, just making sure any air units aren't enough to start to whittle this down. They have transfuses as well for the staying power, while the Adepts just simply don't. Some Stalkers being warped in. GG. Neeb says that is just not gonna happen. Neeb pretty much was hoping that Rogue was gonna get greedy. That Rogue was going to overdrone, try to take a fourth, something like that. But Rogue just said he scouted the Twilight. He saw that Neeb was kind of just trying to transition into some sort of macro. And he's like, you know what? Why would I bother trying to figure out how to macro when I could just kill you? So he comes over and he kills him. So that's going to be 2-1 match point. Rogue in the lead. As we go into Neon Violet Square. The 2018 Hangzhou Starcraft Festival. A tournament that almost no one knew was happening besides these top tier, best of the best in the world players that were invited. But thankfully, we can look at the matches for you now. Game 4, yeah, game 4. I keep forgetting. I'm not. Usually they have people for this. Oh, no, okay. And I never figured out what this thing. This game, we're gonna figure out what this is. I'm gonna press this button later. Oh, it is a best of 5 as well. This is the semifinals. Once again, we have Rogue opening up with a hatch first. He hasn't chosen any pull first builds. And only that last match was really a reaction to Neeb's opener, as opposed to him taking the initiative and going for an all-in. Will that change this match? It's Neon Violet Square, the most defensible Turtle to Carriers or Broodlords or whatever map in the pool. So if ever you wanted to do a very quick all-in, this might be it. But also at the same time for Neeb, pretty easy to defend, as he has 3 bases up a singular ramp, which is pretty indicative of it. Probe comes out. It's after Cybercore, so Neeb definitely trying to maximize his economy here. Where's your second pylon? Oh, at the very back. Neeb gonna see the hatch timing. He's gonna see a queen on the way. Is he just gonna go home? Goodbye, little probe. Oh, wait. Gonna try to... Okay, he's scouting for however many Zerglings and or a drone going to the 3rd. Need a little bit of extra info, and then gonna head home when he gets pushed away. So, what's next for Neeb? This is another map where you could break out a quick 3 base. If Rogue isn't just blindly going for some sort of all-in, there's no information Neeb can give him super early that Rogue can use and be like, oh, I'm gonna punish the 3rd base. The Overlord just won't be in time. Neeb will have tech by the time the follow-up will be there. So if Rogue's not building a Roach Warren like right now, then there's no punishment for a third. But it is looking a lot like that same build that Neeb did. 2 Zerglings get in. It's looking a lot like game number 1 here. 2 Zerglings getting into the main. Or was that Catalyst? I don't remember. But Rogue finding that nice timing after the Adept goes out. And now we see Rogue getting that info. What does he do with it? He's going to see there's no tech. He's looking for that second pylon. That second pylon has no tech at it. Going to try to pick off the probes. So now there are a couple options. Rogue has to check it off in his head. Either Neeb's going to try to get a third base right now with this much gas. Why do you have so much gas, Neeb? Are you going to warp in sentries? And then go for a third? What do you do? He has 550 gas and no tech. The only explanation to be getting 2 more gas is he's warping in sentries and just taking a third. Starts a Stargate. Double Stargate. Okay. Rogue knows where that pylon is. So I lied. That's not the only explanation. I guess he can just go delayed double Stargate with a... Now, I'd love to know if this is a mind game. So Rogue got in. He scouted there was no tech, and that Neeb would have a lot of gas. So he's probably going for a third and playing defensive. But Neeb warps in Adepts and goes double Stargate behind it. Is he trying to kind of throw Rogue off with this here? It looks like he's succeeded, as there are no glaives. He didn't hide a Twilight anywhere. He almost commits to the Shade. You want to wait till that very last second. But he's bought space to go Phoenixes and to have the scouting to respond. So I think this was Neeb's intention all along. I think this is the intention with the build. It's okay if they get some information early, because you're going to be feeding them misinformation no matter what. Whether they see anything or don't see anything, what they're seeing is not what they're getting, essentially. Because Neeb is now banking up Phoenixes here. And he has enough Adepts that Rogue doesn't really feel comfortable moving out. The neon violet squares here actually serve as quite effective force fields as well. So really playing to the map. The more I look at it, the more... In a player of this caliber, you can't be like, oh, I guess he just got lucky. No, I have to work off the assumption Neeb is a genius, and he's playing the map in a unique and very effective style here. Because he knows he doesn't need a sentry push if he has these squares to work with. He can't get surrounded by Zerglings. This will buy him plenty of space to safely get his Phoenixes out. And then the Phoenixes will kind of pick up where the Adepts leave off in order to keep pressure on Rogue. So... I'll press the button. What does this do? It still does nothing. I don't... It just gives me a red thingy. Wait. Oh, it's an intro thing. Oh! If there were logos here, they would show up. Okay, that's cool. If I was a professional, I would know that, and I would set their logos for their teams, but, okay, so nothing's gonna show up. But it's for when you're doing the introductions, like, and Rogue, and then it shows, like, the Jin Air logo, so. The square's going to work. Is he... Okay. Okay, pick up... No. Oh. What I really wanted to know was if he picks up the Adepts with the Phoenixes and then recalls everything... He makes it out, right? But having the Phoenixes back on the other side is not what Neeb wants right now. He wants to put on pressure. He wants to keep the probe count down. Alright. A Spire behind this. So this has to be for Corruptors. You do not... There is no world in which you're like, aha, you'll never expect me to make 14 mutas when you have upgraded Phoenixes. But this might be Rogue expecting the eventual carrier transition. Because a lot of the time when you open up heavily into Phoenix, you've opened up the path towards carriers, right? So Rogue kind of trying to preempt that, but Neeb actually going for a ground army. Edion, Immortals, a Twilight Council as well. Some Banelings coming in here. Okay, let's see those force fields, Neeb. He has one more. Okay, he has two more. +1 upgrades on the Zerglings, warping in a couple more Zealots. He may have to cancel the base, but those were about the most perfect force fields you could ever ask for there. So he has to cancel and rebuild the base, but it did cost Rogue a lot to get that. For sure. The Templar Archives is done. Storm is on the way. Neeb actually switching into a ground army, whereas Rogue switching into a Sky Zerg army. So. It's interesting. This is not usually how things play out. Usually, the Sky Toss starts to build up, and then the Zerg player eventually tries to match it. But for a time here, Rogue is going to have the superior air army. How much does it get done? Will Neeb try to attack and just do damage? The Corruptors show up. Does he go for the Nexus? Does he just eat the damage? He's really trying to get these Corruptors to attack, and he's getting on top of them. He's going to spray through the Nexus. Wow, Rogue breaks off. Kind of surprised he did, because now we're in a weird position where he has just enough Phoenixes to actually fight the Corruptors successfully. Especially since he has that +1 attack. So, Rogue with some serious indecision there. Either you go for the Nexus and lose like 1 or 2 more Corruptors, or you break off right at the start. So, maybe Rogue not really calculating how much damage the +1 Phoenixes are going to do. But, more Corruptors coming out. He scouts. Neeb has a strong ground army. And behind it, he's going to be going for the carriers. A 3rd Stargate on the way. He has plenty of income. Rogue at 92 drones. Quite a commitment. So this means he wants to trade and fight and go again. Plenty of Banelings on the way, carriers. And Neeb is now transitioning in to Sky Toss. Which means he has thousands of resources in the mail. His production tab is worth a few thousand resources. 3 carriers, an Immortal, Blink, +2, Graviton Catapult. But they're not here yet, which means this attack of Rogue is hitting right before Neeb has reached full potential. The sentries evaporate immediately. But the Banelings are gone. The first round, I would call that a success. Rogue coming in, he has +2. This attack not as good, but he gets the Cyber Core before +2 ranged, well, air attack finishes. Another round of Storms at the front. The Banelings are almost all gone. But still, the map is very easy to defend once you get rid of those Banes. He'll hold on to all his bases for now. 68 more Zerglings on the way. But the Hive just started for Rogue. So this means he doesn't, if he just sits back, he's letting Neeb get to this late game army. A couple carriers have come out. Neeb approaching 200 supply. How many Templar on the field? 8. Morphing a few in for Archons. He's got 7 or 8 Storms as well. The Lings and Banes and Hydras coming together. He wants to slam into this base on the low ground. The Storms aren't really in position. He should be able to take out the Nexus. Alright, a few Banelings going towards the front. The Nexus falling. But this is all damage that Rogue just needs to do to keep Neeb honest. This is not a huge blow. Neeb knows he can't be expected to hold on to that against that many units very easily. But now Rogue has a gold. He's got 90 drones. What happened to his probes? Whoa! 34 probes have gone down. It looks like some banelings slipped by either during that I'm a professional. During that last fight, or while that last engagement was happening. Neeb didn't notice either. He's at 56 probes. And that's a pretty dramatic hit. He no longer has the income he expected on these 4 bases. If Rogue can actually finish off this base as well, then that's when he can just start hammering Neeb down. That's when he can throw away army after army, because he's just so effective. More probes falling. $55 is still stable enough. Some corruptors are coming in. There's only... Okay, there are 5 carriers now. A couple more just finished. If he can target down any, that's a big blow. More Lings and Banes coming in. The Storms are starting to be drained, but they're doing plenty of damage before that fact. A couple Immortals going down. Rogue comes in again, and Neeb holds again. He held on to that base. He held on to most of his probes. Neeb actually looking to go on the chase for a bit. But wisely retreating. He doesn't really have the numbers. He doesn't have that many Storms to go out onto the creep. But Rogue has bought himself some time. The Hive is done. We should be seeing the Hive upgrades across the board here very soon. Greater Spire, Adrenal Glands, +3 anything. He's spending another round of money on Banelings. But the cost efficiency of this Protoss... If it was almost any other map, I'd say, yeah, Rogue can just keep doing this. But it's Neon Violet Square. You get very seriously diminishing returns. Neeb now has Templar on either side of his next eye. Around the Banelings to the north. An attack to the south. How well timed. Will Neeb notice? Templar are going to go down, and so will probes. Definitely a lot of hits coming in. He's trying to get the Storms and keep his carriers alive. The Storms connected, wiped out the ground army. Will push away the Corruptors. More probes fall. 48, another dozen. He loses Templar and he loses probes, but he holds on to the bases. Rogue at 95 drones. He wasn't happy enough. He's getting 4,000 minerals a minute with that gold base. That is a lot of Zerglings. He has to keep up on those injects, have those macro hedges. We don't see the Hive tech. He has Hive, but there's no Hive tech coming in. A few Void Rays being built. 4 carriers. It looks like a couple were sniped off. He's going for the Void Rays to deal with the Corruptors head on. Rogue continue. The creep spread is nearly outside the front door. It's on Neeb's lawn. Another round of Lingbane coming up. Still so many Templar. Neeb has managed them so well in this series. Another round comes in. This is... The Storms are good. The Interceptor's eating a lot of them as well. That's a hugely costly, inefficient round of Banes, but they get up to the Templar! And a lot of the Templar, there's still more where that came from. They don't stop. The Void Rays come up, but the Queen's at the back. The front line of both sides has been obliterated, but the second round of Bane's doing more than the first 50. He's just got Queen Corruptor, though. If he had those Cracklings, if he had the Adrenalings, if he had that little bit of extra damage, could he break through? But the Templar count has been reduced, and that is what is keeping Neeb going through these fights. That splash damage washing away all the threats. But he finally gets through. It's a temporary advantage. There's no shield batteries down. Well, there's no shield battery down here yet. Another round of Banes. In comes Rogue again. There's still a few Storms there. The Archon's holding the line. The Void Rays are charged up. They are melting through the Corruptors. Another round of Banelings. The Archon's doing a great job, but they are falling as well. One shield battery holds. Another round of Rogue's army is thrown back. And this, now Neeb is at 78 workers. Rogue is still... Rogue won't... He's making more Hydras. The Heart of the Swarm, Lings. He's got more Banes. Where are the Adrenal Glands? He's got all... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bases. And I'm sure we'll be counting soon. But that does seem like a pretty massive oversight, not having that upgrade. He's so reliant on his... Well, they mostly get turned into Banes, but having that option A surround. Trying to figure out what he wants. Shield batteries are pretty good. Another round of banelings comes in. He gets more probes. 18 more probes, or just about. Neeb gets knocked down to 63. But at this point, Neeb doesn't have that many bases to mine from. He's just trying to draw his attention away for a split second as Rogue, trying to find that economic victory. But at some point, when do the costs just not add up? Neeb continues to stand under the onslaught of Rogue, and he stands tall with so many Templars still. Continues to warp them in. He never is out of Storm.
Good. Now I have your attention.
Hydra's and Lings coming up on the right. The carrier count is at 6. Neeb is built, like, he's built the Death Ball now. Just now is Rogue actually using his Hive Tech. He's building some Spores. He's building a Greater Spire and another Spire. But Neeb is now maxed out, and Rogue has done him the favor of killing a lot of his probes, making his army, the Fist of Neeb, coming together. Corruptors and Hydras on the right, but one Archon and a handful of charge lots are enough there. Infestors at the front. Rogue trying to have a forward outpost of defense. Neeb just slides to the right side. Rogue's going to need to move those Spore Crawlers. He doesn't have money in the bank. He's been throwing everything into Banelings. He's been trading. But at some point, he is coming out on the latter end of it. Some more Fungals coming up, but Feedbacks and Storm return the favor. Neeb trying to hold on. The Templar at the front line. Storm's washing over everything. It's a national emergency. What is the answer for Rogue? He could have banked up money. He went for this really heavy, just mass. What is the units lost here? Rogue has lost 20,000 more resources, over 50% more resources than Neeb. Just a ridiculous amount. The cost effectiveness of Neeb. And it's not over yet. His army supply is doubling. Queens aren't going to be enough to stand up to this many carriers. +3 air weapons is complete. The Spore Crawlers are knocking a few Interceptors out of the sky, but they're replaced even more quickly. He's got 56, 57 and counting. Neeb, patient. Patient as ever. Rogue trying to roll in with Banelings. Will they make it past the line of Archons? Kind of. Trying not to hit too many Interceptors with Storm. He pulls back the Interceptors, hits the Storms, pulls back the Interceptors, hits the Storms. He's actually microing the Interceptors out of his own Storm. Working through the defenses at the front. Rogue is dipping in supply. He's out of steam. He has, I would say, out of gas, but he has plenty of that. And Neeb brings himself even 2-2. We're going to match point. In this best of 5, Neeb takes it home. Winner of this moves on to the finals. He holds. He holds again. It seems the longer it goes, the better Neeb does. Rogue very intent on trying to find a way to break him. But Neeb's shields are up. Literally and figuratively. Match point. Game 5 of the Hangzhou Starcraft Festival semifinals. In the top right, the Blizzcon champion, and arguably the best Zerg player in the world, from Jin Air Green Wings, Rogue. And in the bottom left of Eastwatch, the American hero, one of the safest, most solid Protoss in StarCraft, Neeb. all comes down to one. Both players sticking to their guns here. No outright cheeses. Hatch first out of Rogue. And we do have Neeb going for the gate expand with a delayed scout in the bottom left as well. So, Neeb tried a cannon rush in one of the matches. Did not pan out very well. Looks like he's sticking to what has definitely worked a lot better so far. A quicker third, well, a pretty quick third base. Not a quick third base in the sense that it's unexpected. But Rogue going for the third before the pool finishes, which means he's only going to be able to build one queen, but he gets that extra production, and there's no chance it's going to be blocked. So we're all setting up for what looks to be a standard game. Eastwatch, another large map. Thank you, Term.
Less than 3.
But it's not like Neon Violet Square. Neon Violet Square, Neeb holding those choke points eventually got him victory.
Good.
Eastwatch, each
Now
base.
I have your attention.
Each base past the first 3 are difficult to hold on to. If Rogue comes in with that same style of Hydraling Bane against Neeb trying to defend with Stargate, Rogue is going to find damage. There's just simply not enough ramps, not enough choke points, not enough easily defensible areas that Neeb can play the same way he did on the previous map.
Good. Now I have your
Rogue
attention.
Learned his lesson. He seems very intense. He's one of, if not the best in the world, at that really unit-heavy style, that lair tech-heavy style. Neeb makes it look not nearly as strong as it is. And there were points there where he could have broken as well, especially when the probes kept getting killed off. But Neeb conserving his storms, using them perfectly to hold on. Zergling speed on the way. Enough Zerglings to deal with the first 2 Adepts. An Oracle... Wait, is this an Oracle first, or did he build a Phoenix? Oracle first out of Neeb. So, looking to potentially get a little bit more damage done. Maybe catch Rogue off guard. Did he see the Stargate? He did see the Stargate, and he did see the Oracle building. So, Neeb once again gets his first 2 Adepts. Well, almost caught. This has been pretty consistent. He sends out the Adepts, and then they just kind of die to Zerglings, or get to a point where they can't really do any damage. But, I mean, I guess he now knows there are Zerglings, so... If he gives him the information at once, I can't criticize him for it, right? So... Charge on the way. No Templar Arc. Oh, Neeb! Whoa, Neeb! Whoa, Neeb! Shading through and getting behind this wall, showing 2 more Adepts. Neeb is going for a mass charge lot all in. He's not... Is he going to build a Templar Archives? He's not mining gas. Oh, Neeb breaking out the spiciest block of cheese here for the final match. The tiebreaker. He's not mining any gas. He has 28 gas. This is not an Archon drop. This is going to hit before your preparation for Archon drop. He's going straight out. He's warping in Zealots. Will Rogue see it? He's feigning. You don't want to take a third. We both know that's a decoy right there. He's making everything look like this is an Archon drop. Like, and he's picking up the Zealots into the Prism. Oh, he's hiding this so well. He's keeping his cards close to the chest. Rogue is prepared for the Archon drop follow-up. Oh, now he's gonna see it. The Roach Warren is done, but Rogue is going up to 56 drones. He needs every single Zealot. That charge is nearly completed. Neeb is all in. This needs to... It needs to get pretty much on the edge. If Rogue is not at the very least gasping for life at the end of this, then it has failed. Because he's got speed on the way. The Roaches are coming up. It all comes down to this. The Warp Prism is his lifeline to victory. So many Zealots are warping in. Neeb has 19 Zealots against 8 Roaches. He's looking to go to the finals. He's up on everything. There are a few Adepts in the mix as well. The charge is coming through. He can't spend time targeting the War Prism. He needs to deal with these Zealots. A little bit of pickup micro as well. Rogue has plenty of supply, but it's all in the mail. The eggs are hatching, but are they hatching quick enough? He holds the ramp for now. More Zealots streaming in. Who's the Zerg? The world may never know. More Zealots coming out. He picks up the one stuck on the ramp. More Zealots warping in. Rogue dipping in supply. Remember, a lot of his lead is in drones. He has to use the drones to block out for what Roaches he has left. Rogue spending every last mineral and point of gas. The Spore Crawler trying to chase down the Warp Prism. That is not a happy place to be. The Roach is bleeding out in Neeb with a carefully procured cheese. A perfectly executed play. More Zealots coming in for the flank. Rogue isn't really mining anymore. Rogue doesn't have the supply. And your American Protoss will be coming out over the BlizzCon champion. 3-2, it's over. He wasn't able to keep enough Roaches alive. Neeb breaks through with the completely all-in play. If Rogue had another 20 seconds, if he had another Roach build time, and he didn't make that last round of drones, if he had maybe a spine or two coming up, if that didn't nearly blindside him, it didn't blindside him, but he just didn't have the prep there. Neeb gave him all the right signs. But if Rogue, I mean, he showed extra Adepts warping in. He showed the Robo, and he also showed a Warp Prism, but that Warp Prism usually is to go build Archons. Neeb hitting that timing. No Archons, no gas, no nothing. Just charging towards victory and to the finals. Takes it 3-2 over Rogue. That was a pretty intense series. That was a really good series. Because Neeb, 2 of his wins were really drawn out defensive macro games. And then he mixes in the one super all-in, just as Rogue is the one trying to play defensive. And then Rogue responding to Neeb going for some heavy, like a cannon rush, just shut down and knocked out. And then just overrunning Neeb on, what was it, Catalyst as well? On Catalyst. By killing, oh yeah, remember when 75 probes died? You remember that? In like 4 seconds? 75 probes? Or no, it wasn't 75. He killed like 60 out of 75 probes. Still. Yeah, that was a moment, but it wasn't enough. Neeb comes out on top 3-2. I'm in the middle of nowhere. Did you guys like the cast? Maybe we'll do the finals tomorrow. I'm not doing the finals today. We're way too late. I'll do the finals tomorrow. Remind me. I'll put that up on YouTube in the near future, but if you want to see more casting and all that fancy shit, go check out YouTube. Use the YouTube command, youtube.com/WinterStarcraft. That was from the Hangzhou Starcraft Festival in China.